AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word SHOW to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word SHOW, S-H-O-W, to 33777. Text SHOW to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
Welcome, America. It's Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number, 877-973-7425, should you wish to be on the program. We got to start with, I can't remember the last time the president stepped in it with his own base. His Laura Ingraham interview. Now, people are furious today, and it is MAGA Republicans who are furious. In fact, Marjorie Taylor Greene is coming out. I think she thinks she is some sort of heir to Trump, I guess. It's kind of weird to watch Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, she's, I don't know. Let me read you Marjorie Taylor Greene's tweet. I believe in the American people. I am one of you. I believe you are good, talented, creative, intelligent, hardworking, and want to achieve. I'm solidly against you being replaced by foreign labor like with H-1Bs. I'm solidly against allowing foreign students into our colleges and universities like 600,000 Chinese students just to financially prop them up. If they fail, they fail. The system in place isn't helping our young people anyway. I'm against foreign aid, foreign wars, sending a single dollar to foreign countries. I'm against bringing any foreign leader that is a terrorist or overseas killing innocent people into our country and into the Oval Office. They don't deserve our support. I am elected to represent my district and the American people, no other country, and I only serve Americans. I'm America first and America only. This is my way, and there is no other way to be. That is Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is trying to divide the president from his base, and she's capitalizing on a mistake President Trump made with his interview with Laura Ingraham. This is from the president's interview with Laura Ingraham. It has gone viral, and his supporters are furious.
There's never going to be a country like what we have right now.
And does that
the
mean
Republicans have to talk about it?
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
I'll
give you an example.
Mr. President, in World War II, American men went off to kill the Nazis, and their wives went to factories having never held a socket wrench in their life and learned how to make the missiles and the ships that their husbands used at war. It doesn't sound very pro-America for the president to say we've got to import people because we don't have talented people. Now, public schools have certainly destroyed a lot of talent in this country, but there are a lot of people sitting on the sidelines. I want to go back to this guy I was talking to you about a couple of weeks ago, who is still, by the way, jobless. Thought I had found him a job. It didn't work out. He is in his 40s. He's a software engineer. He is very proficient in dealing with systems analysis for various high-tech programs, and he has a special needs daughter and he has been unemployed for 2 years. It's gotten so bad, he had a massive golf collection. He's selling off his prized golf clubs because he can't find a job. He's over 40, and if you're over 40 in this country and you lose your job, you've got a 25% chance of never getting a job again, and he's in that demographic, it seems, at least in the area of expertise he's in, which is a data field. And he's very talented, but you know what's happening is a lot of companies do take advantage of the H-1B visa program. And by the way, I support the H-1B visa program, but I think it's being abused. I do think, particularly in technology, a lot of people in technology are using H-1B to buy and hire cheaper labor abroad than to deal with American labor. And yes, our costs would go up if they hired more Americans, but oftentimes they're hiring people from abroad. They bring them here, they up their pay, and they're just displacing Americans. I think H-1B comes in very handy in healthcare. There are hospitals around this country that are staffed with foreigners because there aren't enough Americans who are going into nursing, passing nursing. There aren't enough doctors in rural areas of the country. The American doctors want to work in the cities and the suburbs. They don't want to work in Unadilla, Georgia. But you go down to South Georgia to rural hospitals, you've got a lot of Indians. My dad was in the hospital in rural Louisiana 2 weeks ago. His doctor was an Indian. Said it was fantastic doctor. But he was an Indian because the American doctors, they don't want to work in rural Louisiana. The Indian doctor is glad to, and he's a great doctor, by the way. There is a way to use H-1B visas. We do have a declining population in this country. We have an aging population. We don't have as many young people as we once did. People aren't having as many kids. We do have to have immigration. One of the problems is assimilation. The left doesn't want to assimilate them. So there is a multifaceted issue here. But for the president to say we don't have talented people, there are a lot of talented people sitting on the sidelines who can't find jobs because major corporations are outsourcing to AI and to foreigners instead of hiring Americans. Again, this is the president with Laura Ingraham.
Did I fly here on a private?
That's Sean Duffy. This is the president with Laura Ingraham.
There's never going to be a country like what we have right now.
And does that
the
mean
Republicans have to talk about it? Laura.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
Well, I'll give you an example.
Good for Laura for pushing back. The interview was way more contentious than people expected it to be, way more contentious. And the president didn't handle himself well. And by the way, Kristi Noem has now come out in defense of the H-1B visa program. Who is talking to the White House? Which corporate executives are talking to the White House? And by the way, there is room for H-1B visas. If you're really honest about it, there's room for H-1B visa workers in this country in certain fields. And healthcare is a great example. Again, we have an aging population. We have fewer young people than we did. Our birth rate is stagnant. We're going to need nurses and doctors in rural parts of the country where oftentimes Americans don't want to work. Having foreign doctors in those areas is something we already do. However, there are also times and places where the H-1B visa program is abused. I have a friend who is a technology venture capitalist. He's actually overseas right now in Dubai for work. And he is furious at the H-1B visa program. He sees how it's abused by technology companies. Technology companies are the biggest defenders of the H-1B visa situation. And it's just crazy to me that we are in a situation where you now have the president of the United States saying Americans aren't talented enough. There are areas where we need H-1Bs, and if this president and this administration can't nuance it, he is going to tear his movement apart. That's just the reality of it. I mean, the God's honest truth is we do need immigrants. They do need to assimilate, but there are some fields where H-1Bs are being abused. And now on top of that, you layer on top of that AI, your AI situation. Because you've got younger people, particularly starting jobs, they're going to be replaced by AI. To get into a field, you're going to have a more advanced degree. You're going to have to go into debt more to get a master's degree because the AI is going to take the bottom rungs. Where kids used to start out in accountancy firms and law firms and the like, AI is going to take those jobs. Finance firms, accounting firms, even tech firms, computer programming jobs. AI is going to take the first rung of jobs. And so you're going to have to get in ahead of the first rung, which means you're going to have more advanced skill sets. You know, what's also interesting is the president's administration, when Vivek Ramaswamy was with Doge and was suggesting that we actually do need to defend the H-1B visa program and Americans are not talented enough, the administration kicked him to the curb and he went to Ohio to run for governor. Remember, he was pushed out for saying what the president just said. He's now the president's endorsed candidate for governor in Ohio. And I understand what he means, but they're talking about it the wrong way. They're really talking about it the wrong way. What the president should say, Mr. President, Susie Wiles, Kristi Noem, members of the administration, if you'll just listen to me for a moment, I do want you to succeed on this because I sure as hell don't want the Democrats winning in the midterms. Stop saying Americans aren't talented and that we don't have enough talent. Instead, say this. The H-1B visa program is being abused by some sectors of the economy while it is needed in other sectors of the economy. And we should not be displacing Americans in sectors of the economy with foreign workers, depriving Americans of starting out jobs where they acquire talent. What we should be doing is working to seek out and stop the abuse where American workers are being replaced by foreigners, oftentimes remotely and then here, who are actually going to be paid less wages to do the same job as a cost-saving measure for companies. That's not the purpose of the H-1B visa program. We all know that is happening, and you will be committed to stamp out that abuse while recognizing the balance of, in some sectors of the economy, like rural health care, the H-1B visa is necessary, proper, and good, and I think most Americans will understand that. This saying we don't have enough talent, we're not talented, we can't go from the unemployment line to the manufacturing job, Mr. President, many of our grandparents, many of our grandmothers went from nursing babies to building bombs while their husbands were fighting World War II. It was extremely possible for them to go from unemployment to making bombs and tanks because they literally had to because our lives and our nation depended on it, and they did. And we should look at that. Pete Hegseth, by the way, is essentially realigning procurement at the Department of Defense based on that premise that we can get Americans into jobs and teach them how to build weapons quickly and at scale, just like we did at war if we were on a war footing. We should look at that nationwide. There are defenses of the H-1B visa program, but there are abuses of the H-1B visa program, and saying that we don't have talent in America doesn't sound very America first. The splits are coming within MAGA because the president is a lame duck, and as he says stuff like this, he exacerbates the splits, and his movement is going to splinter. If he wants to hold it together, he needs to rethink his word choice on these matters, because this is the very first time I have seen so many people who have long been supporters of the president furious with the president for his choice of words with Laura Ingraham. I'm a mattress snob. I travel a lot. I want a good night's sleep in my own bed. I miss my mattress when I'm gone, and I discovered Brooklyn Bedding, and I love them. I was a little bit hesitant for an online mattress until I tried Brooklyn Bedding, because you get 120 nights to try it. And I wanted a mattress that wasn't just memory foam, feeling like I'm laying in mud. I wanted one with the support of the coils. And they are not only 100% fiberglass free, but they've got great sturdy coils for a firm mattress, a great night's sleep, and they offer a 120-night comfort trial. Love it, or they'll help you return it or swap it. Go to brooklynbedding.com. Use promo code ERIC, E-R-I-C-K, at checkout to get 30% off site-wide. Not available to anybody else. You got to use my code ERIC, brooklynbedding.com, promo code ERIC, for 30% off site-wide. Support the show. Let them know we sent you after checkout with that promo code. It's brooklynbedding.com. The promo code is ERIC. Handcrafted mattresses in the United States of America, and they're fantastic. brooklynbedding.com. Welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here, 877-973-7425. Let's go to Jose from Maryland. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
What's going on?
I agree with you 100%. Yes. So I'm in this business. I'm a cloud developer. I do AI work. And I'm telling you that there's just not enough Gen Zers entering in this field. I don't know what the problem is. Maybe they're not hungry enough. But it's a great career, but it's really, really tough to get in. In terms of intellect. So we have to get these engineers from around the world. And like on my team, I'm the only native born on the team, and I'm Puerto Rican. Most of the people that I work with are from India. Most of the people that I work with are men. There's just not enough talent at this high caliber. Yeah, of course, accounting, even being a lawyer, you can find them in the U.S. But some of this high tech stuff is there's just not a lot of people doing it. I mean, when I interview people every single day, and I could rarely find people that are talented enough to do what we're trying to do.
That's an interesting point. So how would you fix the problem? Because I definitely think, like, as I said, I think there's abuse in the system, but there's also a need for the system. What would you suggest the government do to try to encourage American kids to do what you're doing?
Well, first of all, don't tell them that AI is going to put them out of work. Because we're finding, a lot of people, including my son, that they don't want to get into the computer science business because they think that AI is going to put them out of work. That is the worst attitude. I always tell my kids, and people I mentor, is you're not going to get replaced by AI. You're going to get replaced by someone using AI. And I'm a guy that I literally use AI like 5 to 8 hours a day to help me write code.
Wow. Well, that's encouraging to hear. And in fact, I will say this, Jose, a buddy of mine told me, and this is the venture capitalist friend of mine, that they're actually hiring more people because of AI. It's made them so much more efficient. They can get more work done.
Yeah, I hear that too. But we just can't find, we just can't find enough talent.
Okay.
And we have, we have
that's
spaces open and we just can't find the people.
This is well said. I appreciate you calling in from Maryland. That, look, and again, this is, you can't just say we got to get rid of the H-1B visa program, and a lot of people want to say that because there are situations where we do need people, but I wouldn't say that people are talentless. And by the way, there's a difference between computer programming and manufacturing, Mr. President, so be careful in how you say it. Look, there are problems in the economy still. In fact, the debt burden on Americans is going up. People are defaulting more. The government is trying to steer you towards credit instead of cash. Swiss America wants to teach you about the secret war on cash and how the government's trying to steer your spending purchases. They want to give you their report, The Secret War on Cash, completely free. You can call or text 800-289-2646 and get their report completely free. The All Out War on Cash includes digital forms of currency and is spreading. So get The Secret War on Cash report completely free. All you do is mention my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K, when you call or text 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646, or go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric, SwissAmerica.com/ERICK, SwissAmerica.com/Eric, or just call them or text my name, Eric, to 800-289-2646. 2646. The report from Swiss America is completely free. Message and data rates may apply.
At the Thanksgiving table, as relatives gather from all walks of life, it always happens. Someone brings up politics. Someone gets angry, and the celebration takes a turn. This year, change the conversation. Invite your family to remember what we can be thankful for: our faith, our freedom, our prosperity. In Hillsdale College's new miniseries on colonial America, you'll discover how the first Americans pursued those same blessings, forging the uniquely American character we still share today. You'll hear the stories of the Pilgrims and Quakers, George Whitefield, Benjamin Franklin, and a young George Washington, men and women who carved civilization from the wilderness and laid the groundwork for the Revolution. So this Thanksgiving, take some time to sit down with your family and watch this powerful new series for free at hillsdale.edu/watchnow. That's hillsdale.edu/watchnow.
Hello there, welcome. So in the last small segment, I had on Jose, who was calling from Maryland, who defended the H-1B program and said he's struggling to find Americans who are capable of doing the job he's looking for. Someone pointed out on Twitter, and I don't have the answer to this, having not thought of it, but a lot of companies are using AI to vet resumes now, and I actually do think we should probably have a law that prohibits AI from doing this. Look at, Workday, I think is the company that's being sued, that if you get rejected at one company, you're going to get rejected at pretty much all of them. There's a massive class action lawsuit about it, and AI is vetting resumes and turning people away. I'm in favor of requiring human beings to vet people for work instead of having computers do it, because there's something more personable about having a person involved than AI, among other things. Now, I want to go to the phones here, get the opposite. We had Jose, who is pro H-1B. Let's go to Orlando, Florida, and get Donna. Welcome to the show. Donna, how are you?
I'm great, Eric. I'm so passionate about this issue. Thank you for letting me speak.
Sure.
Okay, so my husband and son are both in software engineering in Orlando. My son graduated from the local UCF, second largest university in the country. I've been to plenty of graduations there. There are tons. There are a lot of engineers coming out. There are software guys, hardware guys, you name it. They are there. But my husband is facing something. So they had an opening, and he was allowed to use a headhunter. They found an American guy, absolutely great, talented young man, hired him. Now they have another opening for a tech position. Companies going cheap won't let them use a headhunter. Look in LinkedIn. My husband's having to look at tons of resumes. They're all Indian. Okay, because the company's going cheap, and they want to go cheap labor, cheap, not go with the headhunter. So he's finding it, and when their experience with hiring the Indians, not as good. They're all talk when it comes to the paperwork, but it doesn't add up when you get them in the office. Have another issue. A number of years ago, Walt Disney World here had their programmers. They laid them all off. They laid off all the American workers, brought in Indian workers, made the programmers teach the jobs, train their replacements, or they wouldn't get their severance package. We know guys that this happened to, because my husband's in the field. It is so insulting to have to train your replacement in order to get your severance. And those were qualified people. They had the jobs. They were doing a good job. They were not let go of for merit. They were let go for saving money.
Right.
There's a big portion. I honestly think it's these companies that are getting, and I love Donald Trump. I love him as a president. But I got to say, people are getting in his ear, in my opinion. I think he's the greatest president, but I got to say, sometimes you get people talking to you, and it isn't as it seems, because you're being influenced, by the wrong people. And when it comes to AI, just as you're the first caller said, my husband and son both use AI in their jobs. They come to a point in programming something or fixing something, and they'll put it out. AI helps them to come up with a few lines of code that'll fix the situation. So AI isn't really replacing them, as he said. AI is assisting them.
Making them more efficient.
In their jobs. You know what I mean? Because it can go through the iterations quicker and sometimes find solutions to things, but it's not starting from scratch and building the code. So I know I went through a lot of things here, but I got to say, the H-1B in the field of computer software, it is being abused, and it has been going on for so many years now, and we're sick of it. You know, you tell kids too to go into STEM, right?
Right.
STEM. You hear this in school. You got to get a job in STEM. You got to study STEM in school: science, tech, engineering, math. You go and you have the kids do that, and you put them through these programs, and then for what? So they won't get hired because they get hired by H-1B replacements? Why did you push these programs then? Why did you promise the parents?
Right. And, so that you raise a huge question here in that I see the need for H-1B visas, including in technology. But I also see how it's being abused. And you raised Disney is a great example where people were being laid off and it was a cost-saving measure. And it seems like we should be able to find a way to pass a law that says you can't use H-1B visas for that. I've got a friend of mine who oversaw a visa application for someone who was a hairdresser, and claimed that the H-1B visa was necessary because she was a Korean woman who would be styling Korean women's hair, and there was a shortage of know-how on how to style Korean women's hair in this part of the country, and so she was needed, and she came in and she wasn't styling Korean women's hair, but she was able to get an H-1B visa to come into the country just to be with the rest of her family. There's clearly abuse happening in the system. We should not deny the abuse. Surely there's a balance here, because there are kids in this country who lack the talent to do things. Listen, the number of people, I forget where it was the other day, there was a study out that, I forget what university it was, has the highest rate of freshmen having to take remedial classes ever. In math and science, the highest in English language classes, the highest rate of remedial classes. Our public schools are failing kids. They are. We don't want to fall behind technologically. There's got to be a balance here. And all I'm trying to say to all of you is that there's got to be a more nuanced conversation. It's not all of one or the other. That there clearly is abuse. There clearly is a need for reform, but there also is a clear need in some sectors of the economy for H-1B visas. There are a lot of rural hospitals in this country that would close up shop if you shut down the H-1B visa program, because the good white and black American doctors don't want to work in the rural parts of the country. So we got to find a balance. Doug, you're going to be up next. Welcome. You guys are fired up on this issue. I'm happy to take the calls. Welcome. How are you?
Eric?
Yes, sir. Welcome.
Yeah, first-time caller. I want to call you all the time, but I'm driving most of the time. I'm in the corporate and private aircraft business, and there are discussions all the time going on. I don't want to go into the hairdresser thing.
Right.
But when we were talking today about the thing with Trump last night, well, here's my thing with it. I deal in very technical things with aviation, and you just can't get a young kid off the street and throw him in there. So my thing with the conversation last night is World War II. Okay, the equipment, the hydraulics, and everything, you could throw somebody in there and put them in there and do a job. Today, we don't have that advantage. It's like there's very technical things going on, and you have to be trained for it. I'm not saying that we don't have young people today that can do it here in the United States, but a lot of the technology and software and everything that's going on with it is coming from a foreign land.
Mm-hmm.
So it throws me off a little bit. And I'm not a huge Trump fan. I mean, I like Trump. He's very verbose, but to some degree, I kind of get what he was saying last night, was that you just can't throw people into a job and expect them to be able to do it. Not 1943 anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to badger him or degrade him or anything else, but I think he was trying to say something, and it got convoluted, and it is what it is today. We're talking about it today, and I listened to you today, and what I'm saying too. First time caller, I'm listening to it, and I'm driving down the road to PDK Airport, and I'm clicking Eric Erickson's show, and I had to pull over and write the number down and call you.
Okay, so listen, hang on a second, Doug. I want to see if I can do something while you're on the phone with me that gets to your point. So Scott Bessent was just on TV. I just got the video, and I think he's doing some damage control. I don't think he is. I know he's doing some damage control to the president's point. Let's listen to Scott Bessent together. This from Fox News.
There's 30 years we have offshored precision manufacturing jobs. And the president's point here is we can't snap our fingers and say, you're going to learn how to build ships overnight. We want to bring semiconductor industry back to the U.S. There are going to be big facilities in Arizona. So I think the president's vision here is to bring in overseas workers where these jobs went.
Who have skills.
Who have the skills, 3, 5, 7 years to train the U.S. workers, then they can go home. The U.S. workers fully take over.
So do you understand the concern that people have? Hey, an American could have that job. Why you give it to a guy from
But an
India or
American
China?
can't have that job.
So it's specific skills.
Because we haven't built ships in the U.S. for years. We haven't built semiconductors. So this idea of overseas partners coming in, teaching American workers, then returning home, that's a home run.
Gotcha. Mr. Secretary, thanks.
Okay, so that was Scott. I think, Doug, that probably gets to your point and the president's point.
It does, and what bothers me with it, we've got a lot of talent in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a very old guy and a pilot. And I was talking to your call screener earlier, and I was talking about stuff with Airbus. Okay, so a few years back, we had an Airbus, I think it was Air Korea or something, that crashed with like 320 people on it.
Yeah.
So the marker on it was when it got out of control, they should have throttled back to 80%, changed their attitude, and went 5 degrees nose up.
Mm-hmm.
And they would have they would have all survived. But the problem was they had young guys flying that had nothing but simulator time. And I think today we're depending on people to do things that they don't have the ability to do. You know, I agree with the Europeans back in the day in Germany when you had to serve an apprenticeship to have a job somewhere. So you could have been an engineer or whatever you were, but you had to go in and learn every job that was in there available. And what does that make you? It makes you a great engineer.
Yeah. Well, and you know,
we don't have that today.
I got to let you go there. I appreciate it. And yeah, look, and again, this gets to the balance issue of the H-1B visa program. There is a real balance in the program. There is the balance of, as Scott Bessent says, we do have areas of this country where we're trying to rebuild talent, and we don't have a lot of talent. And there are balances as well that there's abuse in the program. And the president just doesn't seem to be able to nuance these things in conversation, and he hurt himself with his base. It's to Scott Bessent's credit that he has become such a cleanup guy that the left is now attacking Scott Bessent on a regular basis. I think that Bessent's spin this morning, if you want to call it spin or just his clarification on the president, is probably the right balance, that there are areas in this country where we lack the skill set now, where we need people to come in and do the job to teach Americans. The key here is make them temporary. What happens when they're here for 7 years and they decide, I kind of like America, I don't want to go back home? We got to have a balance there. And I don't know that the president does nuance, but he needs to figure out, because he hurt himself with his base this morning. He hurt himself with his base last night by saying Americans are essentially talentless. And there are areas where we lack the talent and expertise. But there are also areas where the program is being abused. And we've got to be able to clean up the abuse in the program in order to make sure that we get talented Americans working. And, and again, I would go back to what Jose said earlier as well, that AI, there's some data, it's taking some jobs, but also there's a lot of data that it is opening up new jobs for people because it's making companies more efficient. So there's a balance there as well. We just don't do nuance as a country anymore. It's either all of this or it's all of that. It's nothing in between, and yet that's where so much of life is.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
There's something else here with the president, and I got to play you this conversation, a little bit more of a conversation with Laura Ingraham.
We are doing phenomenally well. This is the greatest economy we've ever had. Their talking points, costs are high, costs are high. By the way, the only thing is beef.
Coffee
is a little high because the ranchers are doing great. Coffee, we're going to lower some tariffs. We're going to have some coffee come in. We're going to take care of all this stuff very quickly, very easily. It's surgical. It's beautiful to watch. But our costs are way lower. Now, Walmart came out with a statement that they do every year for many, many decades. And they said that a Thanksgiving meal costs 25% less this Thanksgiving, coming up, think of that, than it did last Thanksgiving under Sleepy Joe Biden. That's a 25% reduction. I think that's right. And if you remember when I first came in, the first 2 days I had a news conference, eggs, they were hitting me with eggs. Eggs had quadrupled in price. And they're screaming at me. I just got here. I didn't know about eggs. And Brooke Rollins, our agricultural commissioner, secretary, did a great job.
Brooke Rollins did a great job on eggs, and egg prices have fallen dramatically. The president said he's going to get rid of some tariffs on coffee to reduce the price of coffee, which would be good. But that's an acknowledgement there that the tariffs drove up the price of coffee. Remember, the president has said tariffs weren't driving up prices. And here in this interview, he just said tariffs are driving up the price of coffee. But he focused on Walmart, saying that it cost 25% less this year for its Thanksgiving basket. It does a collection of goods that it says are its Thanksgiving basket, and it's 25% cheaper this year than last year. What the president probably didn't know and should have been told is that Walmart deleted 6 items. Had it left those 6 items in, it would actually be more expensive this year than last year. Friends, again, Republicans, you got to fix the economy. The cost of living is the number one issue for Americans right now. And you promised you would fix it. Elect you, and you will fix it, and the cost of living is higher. And to do the hanky-panky with Walmart and say that prices are coming down, this is like the Democrats attacking corporations for shrinking candy bars, placing blame elsewhere. No, this is government policy that is causing the price hikes. The president all but admitted it, that his tariffs are responsible for the price increase of coffee. You've got to fix the cost of living, and tariffs are a singular, particular issue causing the cost of living to go up. So deal with that. Now, let me tell you about Vision Computer. They are my computer company, and they could be your computer company, and they are a great company to use. If you're buying a new computer, they can build one for you that is your computer. It's not the one-size-fits-all that you get at the big box store. It's your computer, and you get their free world-class tech support with it. They can also upgrade your computer. In fact, once you've gotten a computer from Vision, they make them upgradable so you can stick with Vision and just upgrade parts as years go on and computer technology changes. But you can also get their world-class tech support, and their tech support helps keep you from scams. It helps keep you online. It helps keep your employees productive. If you've got managed IT for your company, you get to talk to actual human beings with Vision. Call them at 404-COMPUTE today. Sign up with Vision Computers, 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com. Call them at 404-COMPUTE. Say Eric sent you. You might save some more money. You'll talk to actual human beings and have actual human being managed IT. 404-COMPUTE.